Wrestling Omakase brings you a full course meal of all of Japanese wrestling, men's and women's. Join me, a Japanese wrestling fan for over 20 years, along with a rotating cast of equally knowledgeable co-hosts as we cover everything from New Japan and Stardom to Noah, All Japan, DDT, Tokyo Joshi, Mari Gold, Sendai Girls, Dragon Gate, GLEAT, Ice Ribbon, and even more stuff. If you're a fan of Japanese wrestling and you want coverage of the entire scene in one podcast, check us out right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network each and every week. Get us wherever you get podcasts today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich, joined today by a returning guest, my pal, Cola the Lodger. Hello again, Cola.
Hello, Andrew. Thank you so much again for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure. And I got to give you my punch card. If I get 7 more, I get a free one. You know, so it's
free smoothie.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah.
No, like I said, it's one of my favorite podcasts. I always like playing along with your topics because they're always interesting and meaty and oftentimes right up my alley. And so I'm happy to play along. Believe me, you can call me anytime for this. This is one of my favorite things to do ever.
Thank you. Yeah, glad you're back. Definitely. Last time you were on, it was the Halloween episode last year. And that was a lot of fun. This episode will be a lot less spooky, still a bit dark at times, I'd say, because this episode is called Personal Demons. And no, it's not a Finn Balor episode. I did that one already with Lee Malone a few years ago. It's also not a Dale Torborg episode either, folks, I'm sorry to say. No, Personal Demons is a term that I heard a lot growing up as I was becoming more and more of a smark. And, reading more stories about wrestlers and their lifestyle choices, shall we say. This guy has a lot of personal demons. I heard that about Jake Roberts a lot.
Yeah, it's almost synonymous.
Scott Hall.
Yeah, personal demons and Jake, it's like the first guy you think of.
Yeah, him, Scott Hall. It's basically just slang for drug and alcohol problems, which... boy howdy.
Right. Oh yeah.
Has there been a lot of that in pro wrestling over the years? I mean, it's a problem in society in general, really, but wrestling has had more than its fair share of guys with personal demons. And, guys like Jake were able to beat them. Shawn Michaels, of course, Dustin Rhodes, Sean Waltman, guys like that. But there's a bunch of guys who didn't. There's an entire Wikipedia article for premature deaths in wrestling. And it's a pretty big list of guys and girls who have died in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, primarily of 3 things: heart attacks, suicide, and drug overdoses.
And those heart attacks were often associated with drug use, I was
going to say, some of those are combos as well.
Right.
So, yeah, being wrestling fans, Cola, we are well aware of what these personal demons can do to people, for sure.
Yeah, and it's the personal demons is quite the euphemism, isn't it? It's did Vince come up with that? I feel like it's a Vinceism, or has it just been something that's been used Vince always used that, and it's quite the euphemism because demons can mean anything, so
including Vince,
right?
So, yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, we'll talk about a guy with demons, or this one, but yeah, no, with that list of wrestlers that have died in their 20s and 30s is so staggering that it's almost astounding. For a while, it became almost astounding that wrestlers, lived past that, because and I think a lot of it is because, and thankfully it seems like that the culture has really shifted now. And so we're not really seeing a lot of we're seeing more guys last longer and longer, and I think it's, due to technology and everything, more awareness as well. And I think also it's just like, I think there's more stuff to do other than just, sit in your room and do a bunch of blow or whatever, I'll never forget Scott Hall talking about his son touring with the Bucks in Japan. He's like, all these kids do is just play their video games, man. Like, this is awesome. Back in, I was getting out in all sorts of trouble, and you can imagine what that meant with Scott Hall. And so he, for that culture shift to happen, it is something I'm grateful for, me being such a hedonist myself. It is something in wrestling I'm grateful for, that the culture has really shifted to where I think guys like the Young Bucks, I mean, they are older than a lot of guys on that list that you were referencing. And I think it's just because the culture shifted. Not only is the work easier, all that stuff is true, but I think honestly, a lot of it is just because there's just different stuff to do other than just destroy yourself,
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at that classic wrestling lifestyle, like territory days through the 80s and 90s, into the 2000s even. You can see why these habits, are able to form and fester, because, you're on the road for 300 days a year. You're away from your family. You're away from your home. You're taking bumps on rings that feel like concrete. You're tired because of all the traveling. You're feeling the aches and the pains constantly. So what do? You drink, you smoke, you snort, you inject, you gobble up pills, and you party to, make you feel better and to keep you going and to make you sleep. Or, as you said, just to kill time. And, lo and behold, that lifestyle just catches up with you sooner or later. And as you said as well, I think a positive thing about wrestling nowadays is that, at least for, the big companies, the schedule is a lot less demanding, and wrestlers do tend to take better care of their bodies nowadays. And they're a bit more aware of that kind of stuff too. You mentioned video games. I think of The Undertaker, complaining, oh, guys nowadays, they don't drink Jack Daniels anymore and go to the strip club,
bring guns or knives with their bag or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Stardew Valley over guys in their 30s keeling over. That's just me though, so.
Right. That's always been my thing. It's like, oh no, Kenny Omega's going to live into his 60s. Someone call the police. It's like I don't know, man. It's like I think that a lot of it is, as you laid out, is that the life is a little easier now. Like, a lot of these guys, even when they're on the road, they're flying. They're renting a car. They're not riding the territories in northern Minnesota in AWA days. It's there's a when you have that ability to fly is got to be, in flights, I imagine, are a lot more available. I mean, at least they are now. Hopefully that remains so. But because of that, I think that the travel's a little cushier. So therefore the road isn't this. I mean, it's still a road. I mean, look, being on the planes all the time, that sounds awful. I'm not trying to downplay that, but I think I'd take that over being stuck in a car with like 3 other like massive guys, and a 12-pack of whatever in the back,
And it's a whole jar full of somas.
Exactly.
Around,
oh yeah. The somas, man. Those somas were killed. That could kill Bam Bam Bigelow, man. Those somas took out so many wrestlers, man. Yeah. So it's a shame, because my what we're going to talk about, I'm going to celebrate a lot of
Well, I was going to say, just thinking about this topic and all that, like, I just thank God that I've never had to deal with, alcoholism or substance abuse issues in my own life, either with myself or my family. Like, my parents, my sister, my grandparents, my aunt, none of us have ever had any issues like that. We're just not that way. And I know that I'm a lot luckier than other people are in that case. Like right now, I'm reading a Tupac biography, and all the stuff about his mom being a crackhead it's a straight up nightmare. I mean, so yeah, I count my lucky stars for sure, Cola.
Yeah, and I feel I'm also lucky. I do come from a line of alcoholics. So I do enjoy my drink, and I enjoy my marijuana. and I have a strict rule with drugs about it, with drugs and alcohol, really, and I'm going to steal from Christopher Hitchens here, but he had a really thing that really kind of really was a guiding light for me. It's like these are excellent servants and terrible masters, and you should never let the servant become the master. And so it's like we're going to talk about that monkey song, it's like you never let the monkey, you always keep that monkey on a tight leash. It's you can be addicted to something without being a junkie. I'm addicted to caffeine and nicotine and definitely THC and probably alcohol. But I just, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to pawn shit just to pay for that stuff. I'll just go without, I'll be a little grouchy, but I'll be fine, in fact, there was one period of time, well, anyway, I don't want to think because it's a long, boring story, but anyway, I went for a long period of time without smoking weed, and I'm a daily user. And for reasons that are boring, but anyway, I'm a twin, and one of the great grifts of being a twin is that you get to participate in all these twin studies, and they pay you for it, for answering questions, playing little mind games, maybe sending a urine sample or two, or some, I've done this since I was a child, my brother and I, and so I still do it to this day. And in fact, there was one where, because my brother and I are both marijuana users, we took a test that one of us had to go without completely, and the other one of us could live as normal. And guess who won the pony on that one, as to say. And so I went 90 days without, and it was, I was fine. It was like, yeah, I mean, I had some weird dreams, and I was a little bit antsier, and I could easily, just have another drink or something, if I really felt like partying, so what I said all that to say that sometimes you just it's all about, some people don't have that ability or that thing in their head. It's not downplaying it, because I've seen addiction cripple so many of my people that I know, and friends of mine. And that's why you just have to live by a set of standards and rules, so I don't do anything that doesn't grow out of the ground. And and most of the time I'm happy just to stick in my little THC land. I have, I have no desire to go any harder than that, and I never have. So it's just, and some people do, and when they do, they get hooked on just the worst shit imaginable, shit like meth and heroin and all that stuff. That's when it really gets a hold of people and can really destroy lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as the music goes for today, we'll be playing songs about drugs and alcohol, which, given Cola's well-known love for both the ganja and the stoner metal,
I honestly thought that this was actually just a ruse to have an intervention, where everyone from the music channel, like Andy and Brilliant Neck and Mentaculous and Dakota and all you guys are going to sit around and say, Cola, your obsession with drug metal has affected me in the following ways.
Well, look, I figure you're the best person for such an occasion here. And, of course, I still gave you your 2 stoner metal song limit, which is a cruel irony, perhaps, today. But regardless, for such a heavy topic, I will say not every single one of these songs is dark and depressing. Some of these songs are either sounding really upbeat and fun, or they are themselves kind of positive or at least neutral about drugs or alcohol. So it's not going to be a doom and gloom episode all throughout, Cola.
Yeah, and it's I'm aware of the limits of the territory in terms of that. I'm happy to work within it. But you were right in that I have a whole playlist of music about marijuana that isn't stoner metal. I have a gigantic playlist. So this was You saw how quickly I came up with this. This was easy. And it's mostly just because my background is, especially back in another life when I worked in television, is that I followed the retail marijuana business in Colorado as it was starting back in 2014. We made a 6-episode series for MSNBC, and learned a lot and consumed a lot, got a hell of a tolerance. I had it in my head that we would be able to at least pick a song. I knew we weren't going to be able to, because paying for songs is a pain in the ass. Especially for an MSNBC show. but I had a whole playlist of it, so this was very easy for me to come up with. So it is, I tried to cover all aspects, and I tried to not go with anything too chalk. But yeah, no, I think, and ultimately, I think I think what you submitted was really cool, and it was one of the few times that like when you submitted, I know most of the songs. I've heard most of the songs, or I know them like by heart, So.
Well, we have 10 picks each and a play-out song at the end. But before we get to your first pick, Cola, I have a little clip I'd like to play.
Get out of here, Dewey.
What are y'all doing in here?
We're smoking reefer, and you don't want no part of this shit.
You're smoking reefers?
Yeah, of course we are. Can't you smell it?
No, Sam. I can't.
Come on, Dewey. Join the party.
No, Dewey. You don't want this. Get out of here.
You know what? I don't want no hangover. I can't get no hangover.
It doesn't give you a hangover.
Well, I'll get addicted to it or something?
It's not habit forming.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't want to overdose on it.
You can't OD on it.
It's not going to make me want to have sex, is it?
It makes sex even better.
It sounds kind of expensive.
It's the cheapest drug there is. You don't want it.
I think I kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once. Come on in.
And you never paid for drugs, not once. God bless Tim Meadows.
Oh,
God
man,
bless Tim Meadows.
I love that scene so much. I think I kind of do. It's, because, all that shit is absolutely correct. Marijuana is a weed, and it can be grown anywhere. And we've been consuming it as a species for a lot longer than we think. We have a whole cannabinoid receptor system that's as complex as our immune system. There's that's the great thing about the recreational side, is that the science is actually really digging deep into this plant, and seeing what we can really do. And I haven't been as plugged into it as I used to have been, and this was this was 2 Donald Trump presidencies ago. So who knows? But with there was talk of marijuana and cannabis and the plant itself. There was talk about it being a possible replacement for plastic. And could you imagine what that would do to petroleum? And so it's just that's something that we can do and it's a weed. It grows. Especially for, there's lots of science in behind cultivating the stuff that gets the most THC, that there is absolutely that science is well defined, but it's, to me, it's a wonderful, wonderful plant. And I think that it you can become addicted to it. But that's not really the fault of the plant, if that makes any sense. It's there's nothing inherent. It's just there's something in your head that you want. It's more of a therapy psychology thing than it is a chemical addiction. You don't have to wean yourself off of it or you'll die or something. That's what I mean by it. That's what they mean when they say it's not habit forming. And you can OD on it, but usually what ODing looks like is you go to sleep. There are people that do have a violent reaction to it that cannot receive it and they just throw up. It's fine. There was really an effort, especially in the early days of the legalization of the plant, to really kind of drum up these scare stories. People thought that they were going to put marijuana gummies in trick or treat baskets. Yeah, they're going to do that. I'm going to give away $50 of sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Get out of here. And so it didn't catch on. We're now we're almost 12 years into this experiment here in Colorado. And the streets aren't on fire, everything's fine. It's the money could be being spent a little smarter, but that's not the fault of the legalization process, and so anyway, I think that legalization has been a good thing. And I think that normalization is a good thing. And so that's why a lot of my vibes are very much pro in the marijuana department. And I think if you're going to be pro any drug, it ought to be marijuana.
All right, calm down there, hippie. We got music to get to here. Come on, we'll be here all day. But Cola, you are the guest. You'll go first. What's your first pick?
Let's see. Well, my first pick, and I'm going to do this like a old-timey radio DJ. This is Cab Calloway with Reefer Man. Take your best gal and do the Lindy Hop and take her for a dish rag.
Man, is that the Reaper Man?
That's the Reaper Man.
I believe he's losing his mind.
I think he's lost his mind.
Reaper Man. Have you ever met that funny Reaper Man? If he says he swam to China and sell you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that Reaper Man. Have you ever met the funny Reaper Man? Have you ever met the funny Reaper Man? If he says he walks the ocean anytime he takes a notion, then you know you're talking to the Reaper Man.
Yeah, so I kind of made it clear in the last episode when we talked about I'm a big band guy. It might shock people because my reputation for drug metal, but I'm a big fan of old time big band jazz. To me, it's like it's heavy, and it's like the way that Cab Calloway even was, have you ever met the funny Reaper Man? He's punching it, and the problem is that a lot of recordings that you listen to, they're recording, the technology equivalent, in 2026, is a tin can. And so, but if you ever hear it live, you can hear how heavy the music, dun, 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 bum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-da, you can easily see how loud and heavy it can be, and so I really like, I that's why big band, every time you think big band music, you think, Moon Night Serenade, real kind of, stuff that old people listen to. And I get it. But to me, it's always appealed to me, one, because I just think the music is just so it's fast, it's frenetic, and it's really just like, and it's punchy, so, yes, I am like most people that I learned of Cab Calloway through the Blues Brothers, so, but his old time stuff, I wish that if I can go back in time with an actual decent like recording setup and actually hear what he was doing back then, I bet it would sound fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what I meant by not every song is depressing and sad, because this song is quite silly and upbeat. He's the funny Reefer Man. He calls watermelon pickles. Isn't he goofy, folks? It's such a playful contrast with something like Reefer Madness, which is around the same time as this, and so over the top with how much it demonizes marijuana. But the thing is, weed was part of jazz culture in the 30s. A bunch of those guys love the stickiest of the icky. It's called a jazz cigarette for a reason, Cole.
Absolutely. And Cab Calloway, the song, it's like, you notice it's not really like celebrating it. It's more just like these goofballs, it's like, it's not, it's the exact opposite of Reefer Madness. It's just like, I think even if you're not an enjoyer or partaker of marijuana, the worst that this song is telling you is like, this guy thinks watermelon are pickles. He thinks that he's going to cause Wall Street to go panic because he won't sell an ocean,
And Cab Calloway and his band actually performed this song in a movie called International House in 1933, starring W.C. Fields, Bela Lugosi, George Burns, and Gracie Allen. And it was a pre-Hays Code movie, so they could put more risque material like that in there. So
kind of want to see that. Like Cab Calloway, he shows up throughout cinematic history all the time. That guy. He just, I don't know. It's because of his style, right? He wasn't sitting there just leading the band, right? He was leading the band and also the star of the show. Cab Calloway rules. I think there's a song that he does by Duke Ellington called Picking Up the Cabbage that, I could have used that song too, but it's about the heaviest song you ever heard. It's just, and I don't know, man, it's like, for fans of heavy music, you would think that they'd look at this stuff and, repel. But to me, it's like, it fits in very clear. It fits in like with just about anything that's like really fast and punchy.
Well, my first pick is decades later, in the year 2000. This is Queens of the Stone Age with their second album called Rated R. And this song is called Feel Good Hit of the Summer.
Nicotine, Valium, Vicodin, marijuana, ecstasy, and alcohol. Nicotine, Valium, Vicodin, marijuana, ecstasy, and alcohol. Nicotine, Valium, Vicodin, marijuana, ecstasy, and alcohol. Oh, nicotine, Valium, Vicodin, marijuana, ecstasy, and alcohol.
Is this a song or Charlie Sheen's shopping list, folks? Yeah, this song, for just being a list of drugs said over and over again, it's pretty damn fun. I mean, that opening bass line just grabs you by the throat and never lets up. Cocaine, like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And Josh Homme hinted that it's kind of like a response to being labeled a stoner rock band, so kind of poking fun at that.
Yep.
But what's also cool is that Rob Halford sings background vocals at the end of the song, and if you listen like really closely, you can kind of hear him. But this is not the only time that we'll talk about Halford and Josh Homme on this episode here, Cola.
Yeah, we're just a couple of double dipping motherfuckers, aren't we? Yeah, no, I think Queen. I remember reading that Rob Halford. This album is like a pretty foundational album for like especially desert stoner metal. It's weird, but the way I map out my style of metal is more like a fantasy map, and they're in the desert area, and so yeah, and Josh Homme always he's been on record about hating the stoner metal label. And I kind of understand that, but I also kind of loved it. Like at the time because this was like 2008 when I first heard that he didn't like the label. And my response this was before recreational marijuana was even a dream of mine. I was trying to get gay marriage going and some healthcare, but with marijuana legalization being so far from me, I was like, man, you call it stoner metal so they can't sell it, man. It's a difficult thing to market, and that's the point, and then, marijuana went legal, and it's probably going to be, in probably 50 years, we're going to be talking about big cannabis, it's just, it's going to be a thing. So, but yeah, no, this song, I love this album. I like the early Queens of the Stone Age is my lane. Especially with Queens of the Stone Age, but I like how Josh Homme is very interested in having a very full sound, and he does not mind tracking different things to create that full sound, and it really creates just like a sense of especially when he's doing the it's like it bang your head greatness, there's nothing. Say what you will about Josh Homme, when he wanted to, that guy can bring a power to his guitar, and he's, it's, yeah. I Queens of the Stone Age is always the preferred band for a lot of folks, and I understand it. They're, Josh Homme's vocals are a lot cleaner, and he's a good singer. He really is. And so I love that it's called the Feel Good Hit of the Summer, and it's just like repeating essentially the 5 basic food groups.
Yeah, I mean, this got censored a bunch on the radio. Stations refused to play it, which is wild because, it's just the names of the drugs. There's no praise or condemnation or actions involved. But I did find this amazing story about how Queens were playing this rehab center in California one time, and the first song they played was Feel Good Hit of the Summer in a rehab center, and they got thrown out afterwards. I mean, that's a true rock and roll story.
That's Josh Homme for you, man. That guy did not give a fuck. You know, he almost, you know, like he got in a fight with Brett Hines. You know, like the guy is like he does not give a fuck. You know, he's that kind of guy. You know, if he control you, he will.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cola, what's your next pick?
Okay, so I'm taking it back again. You keep trying to drag me forward, and I will. You know, keep dragging us back in time. But our next up is that I know I've given marijuana some love, and I got to give some drinking some love, because we're talking about personal demons here. And one of them is drinking. So this is Jimmy Rogers with Sloppy Drunk.
I would rather be sloppy drunk than anything I know. Be sloppy drunk than anything I know. Now that another half a pint, baby, you will see me go. I'm gonna drink it while I'm up, woman, drink until I fall. I'm gonna drink it while I'm up, woman, drink until I fall. And if you're talking about stop drinking, you ain't talking about nothing at all.
So I know that this might surprise people, but my actual favorite style of music is Chicago blues. The electric Chicago blues, you know, the guitar, bass, harmonica, piano, drum sound hit me all day in the face with it. It's just, it is my favorite sound in music. I love it. And this is Jimmy Rogers, who is essentially Jimmy Rogers with Muddy Waters' band. He's got, honestly, to me, the most significant, like the people most significantly responsible for the second phase of Muddy Waters' career in Chicago, were his piano player Otis Spann and his harmonica player Little Walter. For my money, the greatest harmonica player to ever play. It's like, and it's just so, you can hear this and you know that this is just like the opening tune before Muddy Waters comes on, right? And I guarantee the speakeasies or wherever they played, you know, the juke joints where they played, didn't mind this song, because you hear this song, you're like, you know what, I'll have another drink, you know, and it you know, it works, you know. And so I love the sound of a Chicago, you know, electric blues sound. And Jimmy Rogers was right there at the beginning. Like, he was one of the first people with Muddy Waters, when they called themselves the reputation they called themselves with the headhunters, because they just took the best people from everyone. So they got Jimmy Rogers, Otis Spann, the piano player, and Little Walter. And it with Willie Dixon on the bass and kind of helping write a lot of the songs, really created was responsible for creating that really cool, you know, to me, the Chicago blues sound, which is my favorite style of blues and probably my favorite music of all time.
Yeah, it's a nice rollicking blues song. It just goes to show that there are songs about, you know, excessive drinking that don't necessarily mean the horrors of alcoholism. Right. You know, it's extolling the fun side of drinking. You know, we're going to get drunk and rock this joint. I mean, how many rock songs would adopt that same theme? Quite a lot over the years. And yeah, Little Walter, Willie Dixon, it's got a nice lineup as well, for sure, Cola.
I mean, Otis Spann, to me, I love his piano playing more than any. I mean, like, I can talk a blues streak. We can about Chicago blues, particularly that period of time with Muddy Waters, and then slowly after, not long after, Howlin' Wolf, you know, and the kind of rivalry they had. To me, it's like that style of that era of blues to me is the coolest. And it just, I don't care who is doing it. I don't care if it's Sonny Boy Williamson 1 or 2. I don't care if it's Little Walter, Big Walter. I can go through the whole thing like the Dan Aykroyd did in Blues Brothers 2000. But it's my favorite style of music. I got into it early when I was in college, and it to this day, it's just I'm never not in the mood for it. I might do it on my next day when I'm working in the garage or something. Just because it's never not great for me. It's definitely one of my favorite styles of music ever. So I think the song works and in terms of the theme, but and I think Jimmie Rodgers is honestly kind of like underplayed in terms of how cool he was. I mean, he wasn't Muddy Waters was obviously the star of the show. And it's hard to kind of stand out with, like you got Otis Spann and Little Walter. It's hard to stand out, but he was a heck of a song. He does another recording of this Sloppy Drunk that it's actually like terrific. So, but you just think of the Chess Records like house band. If Little Walter wasn't available for various reasons, just get Junior Wells in there. Like Jimmie Rodgers can't be here. Get Buddy Guy. It was an amazing time for music in my opinion. So I'll always take an opportunity to do that. If you make that a rule that I can't do any more Chicago blues, I may not be able to work in the territory anymore, Andrew.
I won't do that to you. I promise. All right. My next pick, going to go to the 80s here, a decade when there was a whole lot of snowfall around because of that lovely white powder called cocaine. And this is from 83, the early days of hip hop. With a song by Melle Mel from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. The song is actually credited in places to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 or to Grandmaster and Melle Mel, but it's just Melle Mel doing it here. So, this is White Lines.
Bass. Vision, dreams of passion, and all the while I think of you. A very strange reaction. The more I see, the more I do. Something like a phenomenon, baby. Telling your body to come along, but white lines blow away. Blow. Ticket to ride, white line highway. Tell all your friends they can go my way. Pay your toll, sell your soul. Pound for pound, costs more than gold. The longer you stay, the more you pay. My white lines go a long way, either up your nose or through your vein. With nothing to gain except killing your brain.
Yeah, that song is a classic, rap or otherwise. And what's funny about it is, lyrically, Melle Mel is warning about the dangers of cocaine. Those white lines, pay your toll, sell your soul, pound for pound costs more than gold. The longer you stay, the more you pay. You're killing your brain. Don't do it. And it also talks about, the bias of the court system against street kids versus businessmen. There's a really strong, serious social message here. But the song is such a fun party banger, that bass line, the horns, bass, ooh, white, rang dang diggity dang dang. Like, there are so many fun, groovy elements here that, I kind of want to do some cocaine to this song, Cole. I can't lie.
You're so right, because it's like, it does feel like kind of a celebration of cocaine, but Melle Mel's going like, but it's kind, I don't know, because Melle Mel was like, he's like one of the guys who did like The Message, right? And so it's like in his verses, The Message was a very kind of socially kind of pointing shit out. So yeah, that's my favorite verses when he points out these business guys, because especially in the 80s, man, my God, like I remember in film school, like my editing teacher would just tell us like times in Hollywood, like guys would walk around with a fucking vial around their neck, just out in the open, and it just, just everyone did it, but the second thing started getting popular with, not white people, it suddenly started to become a huge problem, and so I just, I loved that call out of it, because it's called White Lines in parentheses, don't do it, which I feel like was like a record company said, you got to add that, and it is kind of fucked up that they put Grandmaster Flash like on that, because it shows up on like full disc when I use YouTube, because I'm a YouTube music guy. But when I can't find it of just Melle Mel. It's listed as Melle Mel and Grandmaster Flash. That's kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at that point, I think at that point, Flash had already like been feuding with Melle Mel over rights or something like that. But I also read that Sugar Hill Records, I mean, they basically stole this from a band called Liquid Liquid. They have a song called Cavern, and it is shockingly obvious that they ripped the song off. Same bass line, same, bum 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 melody, and the band sued Sugar Hill over it, and they won. But then Sugar Hill declared bankruptcy and never paid up. So, classic music story right there, man.
You gotta. I mean, like you said, like Melle Mel and Grandmaster Flash were feuding. I mean, Grandmaster Flash was suing Sugar Hill. At the time when they put his name on there. I mean, it's kind of shady. A little shabby on that department, but. And I read that it was ripped off of that, and you hear that and you always assume it's just like kind of like more popular rock babies just pissing their pants because hip hop bothered to sample them, like that. I always push, but then you like read into it, but then you're right when you listen to the song, you're like, oh, you're just come on, man, like just bring them in, like rap over that, do a guest spot. You guys will probably sell some records, I don't know, but it is a shame because it is like you said, it's it is to cocaine what like sleep is to marijuana. It's very much like, hey man, this is the best shit ever, but that's what it feels like. But the lyrics are very much like, kind of added on. Because at first I thought that like the "Don't Do It" was kind of like added on, but you hear Melle Mel's like lyrics, and he's like very seriously like saying like, look man, like this is gonna be no one's fault but your own because you're gonna get hooked on this shit and all your and that's true. I've never done cocaine. I don't have a really particular. I don't have an urge to do it, but everyone who I've talked to who does do it or has done it says that all that it does is just you get really high for a minute, and then all you can think of is getting more, And so it's like, I got enough of that in my life, I don't need cocaine. I don't need any help in that department. So I agree, Melle Mel. You should be warning people against it, but maybe don't make it sound so fun.
Well, there's also a version by Duran Duran that came out in the 90s. It's also pretty fun sounding. So they did it too, apparently. But all right, Cola, what's your next pick there?
Yeah, so my next pick is I kind of wanted to represent as many genres as I could. And I didn't want to go with any chalk like hip hop marijuana songs. So you're not going to hear any Cypress Hill. You're not going to hear anything from the Chronic. You're not going to hear, I Got Five on it. All that stuff is great. And I love it. Play it as loud and as often as you want. Those things are great. And I got nothing against it. But for me, my favorite hip hop song that kind of celebrates it. And I guess it just displays like my kind of non-hip hop fans. Anyway, this is the Pharcyde with Pack the Pipe.
I look in every hip-hop magazine and see that the blunts are being passed around the scenes and teens, and the common man will judge a man in lesser amount. I guess misunderstands, he adds his trans, he passes like bouts, but his pass is incomplete cause I can tell in the smell. They let the touchy pass me by, let the left catch hell. If I wanted to smoke tobacco, I get a skinny white bitch. I know that fat lip here's a pack to cure the nicotine itch, because the only itch I have is for the indoor sex. So don't blast me that mess, or try to even protest. That is adding to the flavor, cause the old one was fine. Won't you back the pipe and keep it moving down the line? The right, let's back the pipe. 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 I got a big old blunt. I'm lamping on my front porch, about to put a torch.
Yeah, so the Pharcyde, I think they're. I mean, I think they're underrated, but I'm not like I'm not a super hip hop fan. I'm neither Rich Craich nor Rich Latta. But so I can't say that I'm a super like plugged in, but I like hip hop and I enjoy it. And the Pharcyde was one of those bands when I discovered when I went to college and I discovered that like I actually like hip hop. and I like tried to listen to as much of it as I could. And I think like most white guys in their 20s at the time, we got into like Deltron and MF Doom and all that stuff. But we also like a lot of like the kind of more cerebral hip hop, especially like, you know, a lot of hip hop, especially like in the 90s, they like to sample like Stax, you know, or old soul classics. But it seems like the Pharcyde and a lot of other bands like Tribe Called Quest and, you know, all those guys, you know, they sort of sample like jazz, you know, and that's what the Pharcyde really always appealed to me, is that like what they're sampling is and what the atmosphere, they're more interested in creating an atmosphere than kind of getting you to like boogie around. Like the only thing they want you to do in this song is kind of nod your head, you know, and they create this sort of atmosphere. It doesn't recreate what it feels like to smoke marijuana, but it feels great when you're on marijuana to listen to.
Well, first of all, I recognize the sample of Jump Around by House of Pain right away with Pack It Up, Pack It In, which fits perfectly in this case. And I looked it up. It also samples John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley, two classic jazz guys. And we talked about, you know, the heavy influence that weed had with jazz. Here's another predominantly black music genre where that's the case. You know, the amount of hip hop songs about weed is innumerable, probably. And in this case, it's a lot more open as well. You know, it's not a case of, oh, the funny reefer man. Like, no, here we are describing, you know, packing up blunts, packing up pipes, you know, details here, real details with the weed game here, Cola.
Yeah, and it's also like, but like, you know, I started blazing, it was amazing, my lungs shriveled up like it was a raisin, you know, it's like, they're honest about it, like, you're gonna cough, you're not gonna, you know, it's you know, but it's like I said, it's not celebrating it, but more like being in it, you know. Whereas like I feel like Reefer Man was more like, you know, this fucking guy, whereas the Pharcyde's like, I'm that fucking guy, you know. So it like it kind of recreates it in fantastic ways. I don't know. I just like the Pharcyde's all like they're always to me. I think it's fair to say their song they're most known for is "Passing Me By," which is a great song. And this is from the same album, but the whole album is just it is perfect. Like, I don't know, it makes sense that I discovered in college because it's the perfect stuff just kind of put on and just like listen to and while you're studying or pretending to study or, you know, what have you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the line I like a lot is, because the bud is just a tasty tantalizer. The bud, not the beer, because the bud makes me wiser. I did chuckle at that. I also want to mention the album cover, which is a drawing of the group on a roller coaster ride, and they're going into a tunnel shaped like a vagina with like razor blades on the inside. It's a rather provocative image, Cola.
Yeah, it's I couldn't make it. You know, I don't know what it means. You know, it's to me like my favorite thing about the Pharcyde and this kind of like the trip hop, you know, kind of genre is that they kind of celebrate being juvenile, you know, and but not in a juvenile way. You know, like we're talking about smoking weed, you know, which, you know, Joe Lanza brings this up and he's absolutely right. The guy that makes their identity smoking weed is the most boring motherfucker on the planet.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know, like it makes their whole personality is that way. If I ever act like that, Andrew Rich, please say something. I don't want to be that guy. I never, ever want to be that guy. As much of a marijuana, you know, fan as I am, it's just, it makes me function. It's not my personality. And I think that, I think the Pharcyde, they're not necessarily adding into that, but I think that they have no problem celebrating because it is kind of juvenile to kind of like celebrate. It's like, you know, celebrating coffee, making songs about your coffee, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's just something that's happening to you, you know? And so it just kind of comes with the territory. So I honestly, I couldn't tell you if that was, if you just lied to me and told me that wasn't it just made up a thing of the Pharcyde, I would have nothing. Cause I think I didn't buy this album or anything. I was in the MP3 downloading business back in the day. Mm-hmm. So album art never got with me until much, much later when I started like collecting records and stuff, but I should get this record. That'd be a good one.
It just caught my eye. Just caught my eye.
I'll say. I mean, like I said, I didn't know that happened. I mean, how could it not, based on what you described?
Mm-hmm. Well, my next pick, I'm going to stay in the 80s here, 87, with a fellow named George Michael off of his gigantic album, Faith. This is one of the singles, one of the many, many singles of this album. This is Monkey. So we talked about the contrast between the funky, good time music of White Lines and the lyrics. This is in the same vein. You know, George Michael talking about a friend with an addiction, the proverbial monkey on her back, and he's lamenting, why do I have to share you with this thing? You know, I tried my best, but your head is such a mess. Why can't you do it? Why can't you set your monkey free? Always giving into it. Do you love your monkey or do you love me? It's a very painful scenario, seeing a loved one struggle with addiction and feeling helpless. But man, the funky, disco-y grooves, it's like, George, I feel for you, but I need to dance here. I can't help it, man. I can't help it. Cola.
Yeah, I'm sorry, George. I'll be right back. But the song's so great. I just got to do a rail and I'll be on the dance floor. We'll continue this conversation later. Yeah, I always kind of like, you know me, Andrew. I'm a, poppy stuff. I'm trying to get over it, but so anyway, when George Michael died, I remember our mutual friend in the Discord, Maura, wrote when she wrote like an article about it, and really made me like look at it, like the man was a giant. He is the 80s, that there's catchy tunes, and there's whatever the fuck George Michael does, because that guy makes earworms like nothing. Like I listened to this song, I'm like, okay, I got it, and I didn't feel anything while I was listening to it. And I'll be damned, like an hour later, I'm just going there. You can't share your love with a monkey. It finds a way in you, man. Like he is when it comes to making that kind of music. I mean, like he's frankly underrated. I mean, it's an insane thing to say, considering his massive success in the 80s. It's an insane thing to think about. If I told someone in, I don't know, 86 or whatever that George Michael's underrated, be like, what are you talking about? The guy's everywhere, But like, he was up there with like Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. And it seems like we still talk about Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, as we should, for musical importance. But George Michael needs to be in that conversation, man. I mean, that guy was Faith was a monster. There's a generation of kids that have parents that every parent they know owns Faith by George Michael on something, because it was just everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this was the fourth straight single from the album to hit number 1, 4 in a row. And, when you've got Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis producing this song as well, then yeah, it's kind of understood what direction you're going to go in here. It's not going to be an acoustic ballad. It's not going to be a country dirge. It's going to be this kind of song. And as well as proven by the chart, performance, they made the right choice here, I think. And yeah, this is George Michael at the peak of his powers, and just, blowing everybody away with how massive his songs in this album was.
And he's even though the beats itself are very very dancey and it like he does a great job of conveying like frustration, not necessarily anger. I don't get furiousness from him, but you get you feel the frustration the way he sings this song. You know, he kind of steps on when he first starts saying, "Why can't you do it?" You know, like he you know, and that to me doesn't necessarily convey like a rage per se, but more than an annoyance. You know, it kind of walks that line while still giving this really like catchy, you know, dancey, you know, it's just stuff that sticks with you, stuff that makes you want to dance. But the lyrics and the vocals really convey, you know, almost Tom Waits level, you know, tragedy about a person talking about a friend who's been crippled by addiction, you know?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there's a difference between having a strength and a firmness to your voice versus just screaming. Like, there's a big difference there. So, yeah. And he was able to do the former very, very, very well, for sure. But all right, Colo, what you got next?
Okay, well, like I said, I tried to have a variety of genres here, and so I will have... next is we're going to go a little bit country here. I know I'm a little bit rock and roll, but we're going to go a little bit country. And this is Hank Williams III with Smoke and Wine.
Well, I ain't got no money, but I am doing fine. I'm just a hillbilly hellraiser. I'm trying to kill my time, and I'm looking for that gal about 5'10", and I'm gonna take her down that road of living a life of sin. Because I'm drinking, drugging, I'm having lots of fun. I always carry around my Lordy shotgun. If I think I'm gonna have a bad time, I got a little bit of smoke and a whole lot of wine. Well, I once had this gal, I thought she'd be my bride.
Yeah, so I never would describe myself as a country guy when I first heard Hank Williams III. You know, outside of like Johnny Cash, you know, like I come from a generation where like, you know, like the line is, I don't like country music, but I like Johnny Cash. You know, that's kind of where I was. And then I heard Hank Williams III in this album, Straight to Hell. And it blew my fucking mind how great it was. I mean, like, it's aggressive. It's like, I mean, the ripping fiddles and the you know, guitar work. It did, like, man, I don't hear this fucking country on the radio, you know? And his voice, he sounds like Hank. He sounds like Hank Williams. He sounds like his grandpa, you know? I mean, he sounds more like his grandpa than his dad does, you know, in terms of like, and Hank, you know, Hank III is a little bit of a nut, but to me, like, I've seen him live, and I'm telling you, his band is like they look like the cast members of the Deliverance, you know, I mean, like, they just like the terrifying looking white trash people, you know, but they're playing a stand-up bass in the you know, the you know, what's it called, the little slide guitar gimmick thing, and Hank, like, he looks like Hank Williams, you know, and he sings like Hank Williams, you know, and he kind of like is a little bit more honest about the lifestyle that Hank Williams almost certainly led, you know, and he's kind of unapologetic about it, and that's kind of his whole vibe, you know, to varying degrees of success or varying degrees of non-cringe stuff. He sometimes gets a little cringe, but he's unapologetic about it. And you know, like, when I first heard it, I was like, man, why can't more country sound like this?
Yeah, you know, I'm not familiar with Eho to Hank Williams Jr.'s work. I know the namesake, obviously. I know all three of them, but I really wasn't expecting this, like, country bluegrass speed metal, basically. I read that he used to be in punk rock and metal bands, which makes sense for the kind of energy and attitude going on here. And look, if you're gonna go the outlaw country route, then singing about, you know, drinking and drugging, loaded shotguns, and hillbilly hellraiser, and playing fast and intense, that's certainly one way to go about it, Cola, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't really care if you hate me, you see. I'm just a country boy from the state of Tennessee. A little bit crazy on the rowdy side because I like to drink my whiskey and I like to get high. You know, it's like when I heard this, you know, as a transplant living in the Northeast, you know, from the West, and all my family's from the South, like that, I just lit a fire under my belly, you know, about it. And so Hank, I mean, you're absolutely right with the punk rock and metal thing. I mean, his live acts are it's like happens in stages. You know, he starts with straight country. He's got the cowboy hat on, you know, his hair's tucked back in because he's got like long metalhead hair. And you know, he's got his band, he does his country act, and then he takes off the hat and takes off the cowboy hat and puts on like a trucker hat, and they play kind of like a hard rockabilly sound. And then he takes off the hat and the hair comes down and he's just straight metal. You know, like that's his live act. He's very into, especially My Lane. I remember early days of YouTube, there was a video going around of him like playing on a green amp and he was just blasting Sleep's Dope Smoker, you know, on this, on his guitar. So he's very much in my lane of music. And yeah, I don't love all the things that Hank Williams III has done, but this is like my favorite album of his, and really kind of opened my heart to like country in general. Because I listened to this, I dug into Waylon Jennings, I dug into Willie Nelson, I dug into Merle Haggard, and so like now, like I don't sound like such a fucking idiot, you know, and just I don't like country, you know. It's like there's good country, man. Like it's you just got to find stuff that speaks to you, you know. It's all music genres are so wide and vast that, you know, you'll find something that speaks to you. So to discount a whole genre, you know, so, you know, don't do that. Don't do it, as Melle Mel would say.
Well, I have to say as well, I don't see Hank III getting the call to do the Monday Night Football theme like his dad.
No,
he seems a little too rough for that gig.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's and honestly, I mean, one of the songs on this album is "I'm here to put the dick in Dixie and the cunt in country." You know, I mean, like that's his vibe, man. I mean, like the next album that he released after that, the first track is "The Grand Ole Opry Ain't So Grand Anymore." You know, and he just starts listing all the country singers that they don't let him in, probably for good reason. I mean, look up Johnny Paycheck. There's probably a good reason why he's not in there, Hank. Probably a good reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, my next pick here, going to go to 1971, and it's our old favorites, our old reliables.
Hell yeah.
Black Sabbath, off of their third album, Master of Reality. And we're going to take a little toke on some Sweet Leaf. Someone get Tony a cough drop. My goodness. You know, Cola, you claim to be Mr. Stoner Metal, but here I am beating you to the punch with the song and the album that basically created the genre.
Correct.
Not just the heavy, sludgy riffs, of course, but yeah, it's a song about loving weed, loving the sweet leaf. You know, even though lyrically, compared to other stoner rock and stoner metal songs that would come later, it's not that literal. It doesn't say pot or marijuana, smoking, anything like that. It just says sweet leaf. That's the only real reference in the song. But I guess when you start a song with a loop of Tony Iommi coughing from a joint hit, it kind of seals the deal there and makes music history, Cola.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to interpret it any other way, you know. You're absolutely correct that this album and this song specifically is probably credited with creating my style, my favorite style of heavy music, which is stoner metal. For my money, Masters of Reality is the greatest Black Sabbath album. It's my favorite. I think that it's just they achieved perfection with that album. It's just perfect. And I heard this was one of the first songs I heard by Black Sabbath that wasn't playing on my dad's classic rock station. You know, I got a CD of, you know, We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, the best of Black Sabbath. And I think it was actually a cassette now that I think on it, because I had to go to a different side because Sweet Leaf started on the second side, and I heard that. I'm like, what is this? Had no desire, even inkling of marijuana at the time. I just loved the riff, you know, the da-da, ba-da-da, you know, it's just so simple, but so like musical, but powerful, you know. And then it goes into like, you know, then Geezer and Bill Ward really take over when you know he's doing the solo, because like Bill Ward, my God, what a drummer he is, you know, just like he is. It's not just like his speed and his everything. He swings, man. Like there's nobody
he's
better.
Swing man, yeah. He's a jazz guy, pretty much, yeah.
It's like they completely like create the atmosphere thing that became synonymous with like marijuana and heavy music, you know, that heavy cymbal use, which we'll get to, you know, because you are right. You did beat me to the stoner metal punch. And honestly, I'm going to count that as a victory for myself. It shows that my influence is growing.
Well, you know, it's so funny. Do you know how hard it was for me to settle on just one Sabbath song or one Ozzy song for this episode? Because, you know, as much as they enjoy doing drugs, they also sang about them quite a lot too. I mean, I played Snowblind in an episode last year, but you got Hand of Doom, Rock and Roll Doctor, Flying High Again, Demon Alcohol, Suicide Solution, Junkie, Zombie Stomp. I mean, the list just goes on and on, Cola. Yeah,
for a guy who could consume a heroic amount of substances, like he like, and it you know, there were times like a lot of those songs are about like the torture, you know, of what it is, you know, like Sweet Leaf's really the only song that's kind of like, you know, this is all right, you know, like, you know, Hand of Doom is, you cannot say that like there's no universe where Hand of Doom is like saying, hey, heroin, you know, give it a try, you know. It's very much like it's like a more darker thing. This is like Black Sabbath partying, you know, da 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 da, you know, not, you know, so Black and Sabbath and Ozzy, they celebrated it, but they oftentimes they would talk about it like it's something that it can really destroy your life, you know, which is weird because I mean, it, you know, it certainly did a number on Ozzy's, you know, despite all of his life, but you know, so, you know, it's like, but this is like, really, this is really the only time with like marijuana is even referenced by Sabbath or Ozzy. But after that, it's like it's other substances, you know. But Sweet Leaf,
the cocaine comes in
correct
right around this time, so yeah, it's kind of takes precedence for sure.
Yeah, well, and cocaine's like bad news, man. Like I don't know, like it's a lot like smoking with cigarettes to me. It's just like you just need the nicotine, and all you're saying with the nicotine is, oh, good, I just want to do nicotine for the rest of my life. You know, it's like it's something with that addictive. But you know, it's another song where it's just there's no doubt that this is extolling the virtues of the Sweet Leaf. I mean, it is absolutely a celebration of marijuana. You know, straight people don't know what you're about, man. Like, and it's, you know, like sort of an album, an anthem, and just laid the foundation for a whole entire universe of music just centered around that cough loop and that riff.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cola, what is your next pick?
All right, smart guy. You want to talk metal? Let's talk metal. My next up is, speaking of black, you know, one of the, much like Black Sabbath, a band that had the absolute fucking cojones to make their first album and their first track on their first album the name of their band. Ladies and gentlemen, Motorhead by Motorhead.
Don't move, I shouldn't be doing you a light. I can't see you on the eyes.
So Lemmy gets fired from Hawkwind. And what does he do? He takes one of the songs that he wrote for Hawkwind, makes it his band name, his album name, and makes the first track a cover of the song. And that's Motorhead. And honestly, the Hawkwind song is pretty cool too. But it's such a statement, you know. It's like the Arrival for me. Like when I first heard this track, it's like, oh man, like how I try to think back of people who first heard Motorhead for the first time after, you know, only knowing like even Hawkwind. It's just like, what is this? You know, it is fast, it is intense, and it is just Motorhead as shit. You know, and this is track one of the debut. You know, it's like, I don't know anyone, you know, like, I don't know. It's Lemmy and Motorhead is one of the most important metal bands of all time. Period. It's just a fact. And it's just such a statement. It's such a like a thesis. It's like, no, this is who we are, man. You know, can't get enough. This is righteous stuff. It goes up like prices on Christmas. Because why it made its way to this list is not just because I love the song, and I absolutely do. It may be like a top 5 all-time Motorhead song for me. I love it that much. But the reason why I picked it is that the song is absolutely celebrating speed. Because the reason why Lemmy was fired from Hawkwind, or one of the reasons, is that, you know, Hawkwind, of course, they were not exactly teetotalers, okay? But speed was a little too much, especially Lemmy on speed. So it, you know, again, it's such a statement, you know, but it like, so it is a celebration of speed, you know. Again, it you know, I should be tired, but all I am is wired, you know. So I love this song.
Yeah, it's not about being a lover of cars, folks. That's not what Motorhead means. Yeah, it's about being a speed freak, because that's what Lemmy was. Yeah, he was a speed freak. He was a Motorhead. And this song definitely sounds like it was made by a speed freak. It's super fast and super loud and just punchy, go, go, go. And this is the duality of Lemmy. This punchy, rip-roaring song about amphetamines that is being sung by a guy who sounds like he gargles with hot asphalt, and yet it also has the word parallelogram in the lyrics. You know, I mean, the guy who drank a bottle of Jack Daniels every day also wrote "Mama, I'm Coming Home." Like, he was a real enigma, that Lemmy, for sure, Cola.
He was one of one, that Lemmy, man. I you know, like, I mean, the man roadied for Jimi Hendrix. You know, I mean, imagine how young he was getting that blasted into your ears on a nightly basis. You know, like, what does that do to a person? You know, and well, I'll tell you what it does. It creates Lemmy. And now we have, like, and Motorhead is such an important band because it really united metalheads and punks, because that was fighting time. But everyone loved, that's why fights always broke out at Motorhead shows, is because punks and metalheads said, Motorhead's ours. You know, but Lemmy always rejected the metal label. He always described what he did and what people did after him as just rock and roll, baby. You know, that's what he always viewed it as. I mean, and you hear what he's playing. It sounds like something that could have been played in the 50s. If you put it a little bit more acoustic, maybe slowed it down, had some clean vocals, you know, it's very much like a, you know, the solo, especially, it's very much something like Chuck Berry or Bo Diddley would string out. You know, it's very in Lemmy and Motorhead's bones is like old school rock and roll. Like, it's in their marrow. You know, it always informs them, despite them being the purveyors of you know, what would become all sorts of different kinds of metal, from thrash to whatever. You know, Motorhead was, you know, at their heart and their soul, what informed them always was just rock and roll.
Well, I mean, that's what guys of that generation, those British, you know, guys who came up in the 50s and 60s, that's what they were raised on.
Right.
Was you know, those early days of rock and roll, and the blues guys and the Beatles. I mean, Ozzy loved the Beatles so much. And you can see why Lemmy and Ozzy were such good friends, because they had that kinship and they had that same kind of upbringing and that same kind of time period. Also, their superhuman ability to just ingest bad things and keep going, that also bonded them quite well. I mean, Lemmy did a lot of drinking and drugging and chain smoking, and he survived all of it. And in the end, what got him was cancer at 70. You know, I mean, the durability on some of these guys is just amazing, and that's why I think ultimately Keith Richards will outlive us all.
Yes. It's almost like he's like the first one that had that gene, and like everyone else in England and rock and roll at the time, got that gene because like I read an article like Ozzy had that gene too, where he could just he was able to consume a heroic amount of drugs. And I guarantee Lemmy had the same thing. And what's going to happen to Keith Richards? He's going to like fall down the stairs or something, you know, like that's what's going to happen. It's not going to be any substances that kill these people. And Lemmy was one of one. And and the fact that Lemmy was so into all sorts of different types of rock and roll and metal and everything of that nature. He was very much like a big tent guy. You know, he wanted to get everyone in. And I think that informed from especially when he was forming Motorhead, he didn't, you know, metalheads and punks shouldn't be fighting. We're all on the same heavy side, you know, and thankfully it got better, you know, but, and we have Motorhead to thank for it. He's like Johnny Cash to metal, you know, he's eternal, you know, I still miss him, you know, like I still, you know, I you know, he's, you know, Motorhead is a very, very important band to me. And I'll take any excuse to play this song, even if it's celebrating a drug that I want nothing to do with.
You and me both. But all right, my next pick, it's funny, that Motorhead debut album came out in 1977. My next pick also came out in 1977, but it's from a much different side of rock and roll, I think.
That's awesome.
This is Fleetwood Mac with another just massive, massive album, Rumors. And this is the song Gold Dust Woman.
She make you cry, make you break down, shatter your illusions of love. Is it over now? Do you know how? Pick up the pieces and go home. Where did she make you cry, make you break down, shatter your illusions of love? And now tell me, is it over now? Do you know how to pick up the pieces and go home?
So this song is, it's partly about drugs, partly about cocaine. You know, rock on, gold dust woman, take your silver spoon, dig your grave, you know, coke spoon. But it's also a lot about just getting through a bad relationship and the struggle that brings. And boy, was all of that stuff just permeating this whole album. I mean, the drama behind the making of this album is, you know, it's as famous as the album itself, really. All I
was going to say, did Fleetwood Mac have personnel issues? Do they have personal issues?
A few, here and there, maybe, but yeah, I mean, the relationships, the breakups, the fighting, it's nuts what happened back then, and you can really hear that heavy emotion come through on a song like this, especially at the end when it's that kind of tribal drum beat. And the guitars are like fighting over each other, and you hear this wailing in the background, this banshee scream. Like it's a really haunting song, Cola.
I think it may be my favorite Fleetwood Mac song. Like it you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like I'm a huge like Fleetwood Mac fan. It took a while for me to like kind of warm to them, but Gold Dust Woman, and yes, it's because of when I grow up and I heard Courtney the Hole's cover of it, which isn't bad actually. It's actually a pretty decent cover. But it and you can hear why in this song why it appeals to someone who's going to do something a little heavier. You know, it's like dun 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 dun. You know, that whole that informs the entire song, and then you have just amazing vocals with just these really, really haunting, like pierce your soul lyrics with a chorus that is like both singable and like poignant. You know, did she make you cry? Did she make you, you know, shatter your illusions of love? All of that stuff that comes through in this song it's so great. There's textures. It's got like kind of like almost like a country blues kind of like he's doing like a almost a steel guitar sound to the back of it. It's just it's such a, there's so many layers of it. It feels so consuming by the end too, when it crescendos, when you're having the whole thing is just making this like kind of fire almost, it's almost like you could see a house burning down to this song. I adore this song, and I appreciate you putting it on. Even like, yeah, I mean, look, every song by Fleetwood Mac is about like how they hate each other, I mean, but that's what makes it's like sometimes that tension creates magic, man. And like, there can be no doubt the timelessness of this album. I mean, we're still talking about it, like, and it holds up. And how many years later? I mean, it is like, it is such 50. A timestamp of everything. And it's so crazy. You're absolutely right to hear like how Motorhead was just starting and what Fleetwood Mac was doing on the pop scale. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be a used to be better guy, but it used to be better.
Well, I was thinking about it in this case too. It's kind of like how in wrestling, every once in a while, you'll just stop and you'll think, wow, these guys are really putting their bodies through hell for my personal enjoyment. Rumors is basically that. Like, wow, these guys are all fucking each other and snorting their brains out to make one of the best albums of all time. I should really appreciate them more, right. I think, Cola.
That's a great comp. That's an incredible comp, because it not only is it like all of that drama, they were honest about it. Like, it's like they're honest about the drama that's going on. They fucking sing about it. It's like, I don't know, that I don't know if they knew what they were doing was like going to create one of the greatest albums ever made. But it's like, it's almost like they knew that, like, if we're going to do this, everyone's going to know what's going on, and we're going to use our feelings to create this art. And it created fucking magic, man. Like I said, I'm not even that big of a Fleetwood Mac guy, but Rumors in an album, it's just, you can't touch it, man. It's an all timer. It's a perfect album. Like I said, like, people talk about it, like just hearing about it for the first time and like really getting into it in 2026. I mean, it's like incredible, the timelessness of this album. Gold Dust Woman could have been made now and it would have been a huge hit, because it's so, it's short enough. It's not like it's radio friendly, but it's dense and it goes through a lot, and it deals with like heavy, like honest stuff, it's wonderful. I love this song and I love this album. All
right. Love to hear it. But, okay, Kolo, what's your next pick?
All right, well, we're going to double dip into the Josh Homme department. And we're going to kind of stick where my preference of Josh Homme lives. And it is when he's playing with John Garcia, Brant Bjork, and John Oliveri, it's okay if he's not Nick Oliveri, sorry. So if he's playing with those four guys, I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week, and I just want it to happen. But anyway, this is Kyuss with 50 Million Year Trip. So this is my one. I'm using one of my stoner metal cards with this one with Kyuss because it's pretty much a pretty foundational band, and And to me, it's where, like, I think it's where Josh Homme is at his like finest. Is like when he's doing the perfect combination. He still creates those textures that he likes to do and those tracks that he likes to do, but he's I don't know, he's unapologetic about what he's doing, you know. And I feel like it's so heavy and intense, and the lyrics are so simple, but the vocals are intense, but then they do this slow down thing. I don't know if you're noticing a theme with me, Andrew, but I do love it when metal songs get slow and kind of get soft a little bit, when they kind of slow down, take their time a little bit. And this song does that. It does this really intense, like almost like you're riding on a motorcycle, right? Or you're like, it's like you're launching off from a rocket, you know? And then once it stops, once it gets to that part, you know, where they're just kind of jamming out, that's when you're kind of in space. And to me, like, that's all I want out of my heavy music is stuff that sounds like this.
Yeah, I really dug this. I'm actually not a big fan of that super sludgy, slowed down stoner metal. So this one having that zest to it is much appreciated. I also like the more melodic stuff in the second half, into the guitar solo. That also sounded really good. And similar to Feel Good Hit of the Summer, not much in the way of lyrics, but I guess if you're on a 50 million year long psychedelic trip, you don't really need that many lyrics. You know, it's all about the feelings, man. So I get it, Cola.
Yeah, it's all about the vibes, bro. You know, it's just, you know, it's just all about the vibes, you know, and that's, I don't know, like, I just feel like Kyuss was so unapologetic about that. I mean, yeah, first, like, for one, you have Brant Bjork on the drums, and that man loved his cymbals, you know, like he like, it's, you listen to that song and it just, you know, just loves his cymbals. But it's sort of a super group now, because all of them went on to go do their own things. You know, John Garcia had Hermano, Nick Oliveri's like in all sorts of stuff. The Dwarves, I saw him live at Blast. I saw him take like a Cactus Jack like back bump onto, like, he just dove off the stage and just like didn't get into the pit, but got that part in between the pit and just took a flat back bump like he's Mick Foley. It was incredible. But he played bass for this track, and then you had John Garcia's the vocalist, and then Josh Homme kind of ties it all out. I mean, I know Josh Homme's the guy that kind of went on to be the bigger star, you know, we'll say it like wrestling. He came on to be the more popular, more well-known one. But I would give anything, and I will use this platform, Andrew Rich, to start my campaign. And I hope you all will join me. Let's get this band back together, man. Let's let them do a reunion too. Do you see what Acid Bath is doing? Acid Bath. They're coming to Red Rocks. Think of what Kyuss could do. Think of what Kyuss could do. They'd fill Wembley. Anyway, bring it on, Kyuss. Please reunite. Have just one tour. One tour. That's all I want. Just one tour. Play the hits, you know, while you all are still alive. That's all I want.
Tell us how you really feel. My goodness.
It pisses me off, Andrew.
Well, here's the thing. You know, I knew Josh Homme and Nick Oliveri were in Kyuss, but I'll be honest, I did not know that the drummer's name was Brant Bjork. And he's the only other Bjork I've ever heard of in my entire life. And it just makes me imagine the other Bjork in this band. You know, I am drinking, I am rolling. It'd be a fun novelty.
I was gonna say I kind of want to hear that. You know, like I don't know, like you know, I wouldn't mind hearing Bjork cover a Kyuss song. Let's see what she does with the Green Machine. I'll take it.
I'll be a demon cleaner. All right, I gotta stop. That's the one other song I know by them, but.
If you like that, but seriously, Andrew, if like this style of the stoner metal lane would probably be more to your tastes, especially Kyuss.
Okay.
So it's I promise, you know, give them a spin. You'll thank yourself. You like give those albums a spin if you're ever feeling the inkling for some Josh Homme. Try some Kyuss. You will be rewarded.
I believe you. But all right, I will keep the LSD trip rolling here. Yeah. Going to go back to the psychedelic days of the 1960s, 1967. This is a band called The First Edition off their subtitled album. And this is a rather wordy title. This is Just Dropped In to See What Condition My Condition Was In.
Yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
I woke
woke up this morning with the sun down shining in. I found my mind in a brown paper bag, but then I tripped on a cloud and fell 8 miles high. I tore my mind on a jagged sky. I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
I pushed my soul in a deep dark hole and then I followed it in. I watched myself crawling out as I was.
The bums lost, Mr. Lebowski. The bums will always lose.
One of us was going to do it.
Putting aside the Coen brothers of it all, this song is a real trip, no pun intended, for several reasons. Number one, it's Kenny freaking Rogers on lead vocals. Him doing this psychedelic rock song about LSD is wild in and of itself. You also have Glenn Campbell on guitar. Some of these lyrics are just amazing. I woke up this morning with the sundown shining in. I tore my mind on a jagged sky. I got up so tight I couldn't unwind. I saw so much I broke my mind. The effects and the background vocals are cool too. Yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in. And it's funny, it was written by a guy named Mickey Newberry as like a warning about the dangers of using LSD. Don't do this drug or you'll break your brain. But nowadays, that message is probably forgotten, and it's more about the dream sequence from Big Lebowski. At least it is for me, Cola.
Oh, listen, if you don't think I was standing up doing the Lebowski walk down the stairs move, during the song, you're out of your mind. It's Big Lebowski's like one of my favorite. To me, it's like the best Coen Brothers movie. I think it's their masterpiece. I love that movie. But no, this song does kick ass, and I actually I did not know that Glenn Campbell was was in this band as well. I knew Kenny fucking Rogers was because I don't know. I'm not a big Kenny Rogers guy,
I think he was a session guy, Glenn Campbell.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big Glenn Campbell guy, if I'm going to be honest with you, because he was one of those bands that my mom would play when it was time to stop playing video games and fucking do chores or whatever. She always played it just ruined any hope of me ever liking Glenn Campbell. It's like a Pavlovian response where it's just no way. So it floors me that those two people that I generally don't enjoy created a song so fucking awesome. You're telling me he really thought having a chorus that said just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in was warning against LSD? He thought that was oh man, I don't want to do that at all. Who hears that and says I kind of want to see what that's like? I mean, it's such a cool, provocative thought of I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. Like you said, it's a very wordy, and the lyrics of it are just as crazy than the verses, when he's talking about this LSD trip. So if they're trying to make it sound like something to stay away from, they fucked up.
That's what I read anyway. I don't know, but blame Wikipedia, I guess. But but what's wild as well is that this song, it was done by other people before the first edition. In fact, Jerry Lee Lewis, of all people, did the first recorded version of this song. And I heard it the other day. It sounds very different than the one we got here. It's done in more of a soul style with a horn section. It's actually a pretty good version. Just nothing like the one we all know, Cola. So
I did not know Jerry Lee Lewis covered that. I would like to listen to that. Or was the first recorded thing. I can't. Oh man, I can't imagine. Because I know a little bit of Jerry Lee Lewis, and I just I guess it's because this version of the song is so embedded in my brain for decades. It's I know the song by heart again. It's I know that every time I hear it, I see the Lebowski sequence. It's inescapable. I mean, it really it shows that Coen brothers are one of the gods of music drops in movies. Nobody did, I think only Quentin Tarantino and maybe a couple others do it as good as the Coens. terms of like music drops in movies, and it gave this song a life to a generation. My parents certainly were going to show this song to me, so it gave new life to this song, that to a generation of and beyond of people. The song, which is good because the song kind of kicks ass, so I'm happy that it got that life. And it just, to me, it's like, I don't know, it's synonymous with the Coens, and I think that's fine. I think that's just fine.
Yeah, I did that Absolute Cinema episode some months ago with Paul Wedding, and there was Coen Brothers all over the damn place on that thing. So,
I mean, you see me in the movie channel, dude. Like Coen Brothers to me are like I'm an absolute sicko about the Coens. I think they're like one of the greatest filmmakers of their generation, and should be high on a list of greatest filmmakers of all time. That's how I mean that about the Coens. I think that they are just the greatest. So, I'm glad you I know you feel the same, because we quote Serious Man to each other all the time.
Cy Abelman?
I mean, look at the parking lot,
Just look at that parking lot. What happened to the Goy? The Goy? Who cares? I could love that movie so
I don't
much.
care about Santana Abraxas. I just had a terrible automobile accident.
We got to move on. We'll be here all day. We'll be here all day.
So my next one, or do you want me to move on to the next one?
Go ahead.
So to move on from Lebowski things, and to use my second stoner metal card, my second stoner metal rope break, so to speak, is a band from New Jersey called Monster Magnet, and it's a song from their Spine of God debut album, Nod Scene.
15 miles to hop on our stingrays. Boys, we're gonna ride tonight. Goofballs in the 70s nipples. Gotta get our heads just right. Sit me in the lap of the gods, babe. Cover me with skin and hair.
Yeah, so Monster Magnet's another one of those really kind of foundationally important bands in my kind of musical zeitgeist. Of course, everyone, I think like their biggest hit was Space Lord, but this is from their debut album. They're very much kind of like into very heavy psychedelic music. They're much more informed, like they're not informed by Black Sabbath, but they're much more informed by like kind of like the psychedelic scene that sort of came before Sabbath. That kind of heavy psych scene from the late 60s. So you can hear it in their music. It's very much, and the whole song is about essentially nostalgia for the drug-fueled psych era of the late 60s, early 70s. I mean, it opens with "Bought another copy of Fragile." See, the seams were busted at the spine. He repeats it again with "Bought another copy of Zoso." It's about like being nostalgic for living in that 70s life. I mean, he says it in the lyric thing, just goofballs and 70s nipples. It's about a person wanting to live in that world where all that exists is the drug use and debauchery of the 60s and 70s. That's kind of Monster Magnet's whole vibe, is sort of like proud debauchery. That's really what their kind of whole thing is about, and they really keep doing it. They've kept doing it forever. They're still going to this day. But yeah, I'm always happy to play. To be honest, Andrew, a lot of the stoner metal that I like and listen to, they don't really talk that explicitly about doing drugs. It's mostly about like, Robert E. Howard fucking fantasy Cthulhu shit. It's like it's I know like Sleep's a little different, and there's other bands that are a little bit more explicit, but a lot of it's not. It's like, even though you'll see a band called like, I don't know, Bong of Cthulhu or whatever But their lyrics won't be about anything explicitly regarding marijuana or drug use in general. Monster Magnet is not those guys. Monster Magnet is very explicit about like the drug use and celebrating.
Oh yeah.
The inside sleeve of this album that I own on vinyl, it says like it's a Satan worshiping drug thing you wouldn't understand, you know. So that's this song, and that's Monster Magnet.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, you know, since Sweetleaf, it started with Tony Iommi coughing from a joint. I mean, this one starts with a guy deeply inhaling and exhaling, so real kindred spirits there in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I could feel the grease and the grime and the sleaze just oozing through this one, because it's not just about doing weed. They're doing whippets, goofballs, high as a kite, everybody, goofballs. Looking at old porno mags, cover me with skin and hair. It does just come across real gross. But I do appreciate the reference to Fragile and Zeppelin 4, so that's nice, Cola.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of, like I said, it's kind of that sleaze is kind of Monster Magnet's whole vibe. You know, it's like blasted out of your mind on all sorts of different drugs and just like complete like being a total like hedonist. You know, they're kind of the Dionysus of the whole fucking scene. Is they celebrate it and honestly don't understand why you don't. You know, that's sort of their whole vibe. I mean, like I honestly I read the lyrics for the first time, and because I always thought at the end when he says ride a number one on the home train, I literally for years I thought he was saying ride a number one on the hump train, which would not sound out of place in a song like this, you know. It
fit in this thing, yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate you going through that little bit of muck, you know, but you can't bring on Cola without getting a little dirty around here, there, Andrew.
Well, let me say this. It's funny. I know only 2 other Monster Magnet songs. One of them is Space Lord, but the other one, which I'm a lot more familiar with, is "Live for the Moment," the Matt Hardy theme. Oh yeah, da-na-na-na. I can slap a tornado, I can dry up a sea, yeah. Which I gotta say, it's a pretty good song. So yeah, the 2 sides of Monster Magnet there, I suppose.
I mean, the Space Lord comes from an album called Power Trip, and the whole thesis of the album is like, we're selling out, we don't give a shit. You know, and like it's and the thing is, they don't change the style of music they're making. They're still pretty much Monster Magnet, you know. But they're like, I don't give a shit. Sure, I'll make something for WWE. Who gives a shit? You know, that's Monster Magnet's whole vibe, and it really doesn't get sleazier than that. You know.
Yeah. All right, let's step into the world of blaxploitation with my next pick, 1972. The movie Superfly comes out, and the guy who does the soundtrack, a man named Curtis Mayfield, and this is, I think, the tentpole song from this album. This is Pusher Man.
I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that nigga in the alley. I'm your doctor when you need, want some coke, have some weed. You know me, I'm your friend, your main boy, thick and thin. I'm your pusher man. I'm your pusher man.
Yeah, not too shabby. I love that bass line and the percussion work just going along, sounding so cool. And then that guitar lick comes in. Down, 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 down. Oh, it's so good. And, you know, it's a song about a drug dealer, namely the main character in the movie, Superfly. He's a cocaine dealer. And the song, it manages to, you know, capture the allure of the drug dealer. You know, Curtis Mayfield has this really high, gentle voice to ease your worries. Hey, I got what you need. Come on, man. And talking about having money and the baddest bitches in the bed. And he's super cool. He's super fly. While also, lamenting his station in life. A man of odd circumstance, a victim of ghetto demands. Been told I can't be nothing else, just a hustler in spite of myself. And then the song ends with, Lord, Lord, it's all messed up. So there is the critique as well. And apparently that's what Curtis was going for with the soundtrack. He thought the movie was too neutral about drugs and dealers and that life. And he wanted to be more honest and a lot more critical about the characters and about that lifestyle. But even just beyond that stuff, it's just a freaking awesome song, Cola.
Oh, it's one of the greatest bass fucking riffs of all time. The doom, boom, doom, boom. It's iconic. I mean, Curtis Mayfield's the fucking man. And it's one of those instances where it's like, it feels like the soundtrack sort of makes the movie. It's like, I feel like if you put the same movie to any other soundtrack, it's just like a normal ass movie. But like Curtis Mayfield, like, and this soundtrack in particular, just like really hammers home and actually has like a really like focuses a statement to it. It's so groovy, and again, it's one of those timeless songs that like it's been sampled a lot. I know we just in the Music League we went through a who saluted the sample kind of a thing. So but Curtis Mayfield is so celebrated for that reason. Not just like the reason why he was so sampled is because the shit he made was so catchy and so great, and really, like you could take that bass riff and apply it to all sorts of things. It would mean something completely different. But with this bass riff, with Curtis Mayfield's like really, really great vocals, I love his vocals. I love the high falsettos. Maybe it's because I was a tenor in high school, but I love the high falsetto that he gets into because it conveys a pain, but he also like acknowledges like it's pretty cool, like it's like he's honest about it in terms of like saying it indirectly, not necessarily celebrating, but sort of creating the mood of what it feels like to be this like pretty successful drug dealer, and what and then he tries to convey like throughout, like there's something else that's going to happen. And at the end, he's always trying to get over, and that he's setting himself up for a life where this is just going to be his life. It's just a constant, trying to get over, trying to, that's what your life is. You're the pusher man. What a great song. It's like there's stories upon stories in the song itself that it's almost like it's the movie is almost secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, even on Wikipedia, you type in Superfly, the list that comes up, number one is the soundtrack. The movie is second. So, yeah, it's just one of those cases where the soundtrack just becomes bigger than the movie. Number one album as well on the charts, and really boosted Curtis Mayfield's career and got him other work on soundtracks as well. And it's become, one of, if not the defining work of his whole career, Gola. So,
yeah, eat your heart out, Saturday Night Fever. Like it's like no, it's one of those instances where because it's sampled, and this is why I always like got annoyed when any like artist got annoyed when like someone from hip hop would sample their shit, is that like it makes your stuff immortal, man. Like people are going to listen to the Superfly soundtrack forever. It's one of those timeless things, and I cannot accept that it has nothing to do with the fact that a lot of shit from that album is sampled in hip hop like to this day.
Mm-hmm. And this thing is over 50 years ago at this point, so
right.
That's staying power, man. That's, you got some good stuff when you got that kind of
songwriting,
power.
baby.
Well, speaking of songwriting and, quintessential songs here, Cola, what's your next pick?
Well, I'm going with, so I know I've been celebrating a little bit. Maybe I should take a look at how bad it can get. So I picked one of my favorites. It is a cover of a Chris Christopherson song, but it is Johnny Cash with Sunday Morning Coming Down.
Then I walked across the street and caught the Sunday smell of someone's frying chicken. And Lord, it took me back to something that I lost somewhere, somehow along the way. On on a Sunday morning sidewalk. I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned, 'cause there's something in a Sunday that makes a body feel alone. And there's nothing short of dying that's half as lonesome as the sound of the sleeping city sidewalk and Sunday morning coming down.
Just absolutely a beautiful song. Some of the coolest and just rawest lyrics you'll ever hear. I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that couldn't hurt. The beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert. Man, that's a guy going through it. And that's the whole point of the song. And this is, of course, a cover. This is actually this recording is from Johnny Cash at the Tonight Show, I think.
I think it was the Johnny Cash show, I believe.
No, it was the Johnny Cash show. That's right. Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah.
He was recording on the Johnny Cash show, and it charted. It was a big hit. And ABC said, "Well, we have a little problem with the 'I wish I was stoned' lyric. Could he maybe say 'I wish I was home'?" And no one's going to tell fucking Johnny Cash what to do. And so he said stoned, and the song was still a big hit, record guy. So what's the problem? And apparently Chris Christopherson just had all the respect and actually said no, that song belongs to Johnny Cash, but it doesn't go, because Chris Christopherson, that's to me, that's his best work. He was always a great songwriter, but Sunday morning coming down, something was in him that day when he wrote that track down, because it is such a heavy song. And I like Johnny Cash's interpretation of it, because it's Johnny Cash was always a guy that felt like hope was important, and that hope was it's a lot more hopeful at the end. It's he's kind of realizing what his life is becoming, because he's sad on a Sunday morning when, he's seeing a dad play with his kids or someone frying chicken, and it's, to me, the interpretation of this version is there's, he's starting to kind of try to see the error of his ways,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said the word quintessential earlier. This is the quintessential Hangover song. I mean,
hell yeah.
Chris Christopherson had such a way with words. I'd smoked my brain the night before on cigarettes and songs that I'd been picking. That's a hell of a line all by itself right there. Then I headed back for home, and somewhere far away a lonely bell was ringing, and it echoed through the canyon. It's like the disappearing dreams of yesterday.
It's Jesus Christ, dude.
It's a tad more elegant than Goofballs
and 70s nipples.
pussy scratch and sniff in a Playboy. Just a little bit nicer and more poetic than that, I think.
Sure.
Cola.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. But Christopherson, yeah, man, hell of a career, even just as a songwriter. I mean, other people did his songs and made them big. This, Me and Bobby McGee, For the Good Times. So he was fine in that sense, but yeah, he also had his own singing career. And then the same guy goes on to be in the Blade movies. Isn't that amazing? The same guy who wrote this song ends up, hanging out with Wesley Snipes and Steven Dorff. It's amazing, Cola. What a life.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, he was Billy the Kid, in Sam Peckinpah's movie. He was Chris Christopherson was a real one, man. He was it's. We kind of mentioned a little bit earlier with Hank Williams 3, but I mean, Chris Christopherson was very much about that life, especially at that time. A lot of drinking, and you could hear this was a man that was writing down exactly what happened to him every Sunday morning. It's I don't know, you feel it, you hear it, it's one of the, I don't know, man. I like Chris Christopherson's version, but to me, Cash's version has a little bit more of a more production to it. And I'm not really a guy that likes things pared down, but I like the contrast of a Hangover song being having a lot of production, because that's really what makes the Hangover drives it home, right? I want to feel all the sound,
Well, speaking of alcohol and country, southern kind of guys here, my next pick, similar vein. This is from 2015, a band called Nathaniel, Rateliff, and the Night Sweats. And this is a song that really helped put them on the map. This song is called S.O.B.
Now for 17 years I've been going in back. 17 more will bury me. And somebody please just tie me down. Ah, somebody give me a goddamn drink. Son of a bitch, give me a drink. One more night, stay with me. Son of a bitch, if I can't get clean, I'm gonna drink my life away.
So one of the benefits of not being a drinker is I've never suffered from alcohol withdrawal. The DTs, as the kids say. But Nathaniel Rateliff has, and he wrote a song about it. And for a song about withdrawal and describing how his hands are shaking and it feels like bugs are crawling all over him, it's still a rather upbeat sounding number. I mean, there's a gospel spin on it with the and the clapping. I love when he just plainly goes, "Somebody get me a goddamn drink." And even when he just breaks down in the chorus and yells, "Son of a bitch, give me a drink, one more night, please, I beg you, give me a drink, please." Like, his suffering still sounds kind of fun. Like, hey, we're having a rockin' good time as this guy goes nuts. But yeah, I always dug this song a lot, Cola.
It sounds like Itty Bitty Pretty One, it's you're absolutely right. It sounds like celebratory. I mean, it sounds like a guy like self-destructing in the middle of a concert, it sounds like a guy actively like self-destructing, which is exactly how I want to do this song at a karaoke one day. I just want to get just shit hammered and do this song at a karaoke. It's going to happen one day, Andrew. But no, I adore, I've loved this song for a long time. I think it's like, it's catchy, but like, it's so real, for someone who like, I don't get the shakes. I'm not that much of an alcoholic. I don't get the shakes or anything like that, but I've absolutely like been with, lived with, seen people that are those kind of addicted, and it's like, it's just so crazy, and so like to see them go through that, like for something that I like do all the time, it's just like, I imagine it's a lot like people who can gamble without becoming addicted to gambling. It's like, you see someone doing something that like, oh man, that's a bad idea. Don't do that, but it's like when you're hooked, when they got the hooks into you, it's a rough go, man. And this song actually conveys that beautifully, at the same time, because I like the kind of dancey number because it's sort of, it shows the chaotic juxtaposition, especially since he's so honest about it. 'Cause son of a bitch, it's like, this is a guy who's really making it like, honest.
And they played this song on Fallon to promote the album. And that's what made people really take notice of them. And then last year, they played a show at MSG, and Jimmy Fallon actually came up on stage and sang it with them. And Fallon is a guy who himself has had his own alleged drinking problems. So who knows? He might relate to this song, I guess, Cola.
Yeah, that's very true. I first heard the song actually in season 3, episode 1 of Fargo.
It's been in a bunch of shows and movies,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great song, like that's where I first became aware of the song. I'm like, well, this song's fucking awesome. And it's been in my rotation regular playlist ever since. I love this song. So I was happy to see it on there because it's a cool song. And I wasn't aware until we our music lead had a Stax record round.
Yep. Stax
I did not know that he's a Stax guy, and I totally I felt like a dope because I'm like, of course he's a Stax guy. Listen to those horns, those are Memphis horns there, So it was so I did not know that until that round, but he's a Stax guy, and Stax is one of my favorite record labels of all time. So I was happy to see that. It's like having two friends of yours mutually meet on their own. It's like, oh, look at you. I'm glad I didn't have to facilitate this.
All right, Cola, what's your second to last pick here?
All right, my second to last pick is so I've worked really hard to try to find songs that were trying to talk about the dangers and ramifications of marijuana use, and couldn't find it. Doesn't exist. So the closest thing I got was KRS-One, I Can't Wake Up.
Here comes the fire out, they lit it, now I'm burning by the minute. But check it out, more heads came to chill. Everlast sucker pulling past me to Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill took a pull, lungs are full. Who's next? I'm being passed the DOS effect. As they take a mad pull, smoke goes in heat. It's really smoky, but I can still see Black Sheep. Whoa, Black Sheep gets me, ring lights me, room is popping out, passed off the Shabba. Shabba's voice gets low like a Julie set. Me to fall in the room and pass me the Grand Pooba. I wasn't burning right, so Pooba got mad at me and said, who rolled this? And passed it to Kid Capri. Kid Capri said, I won't front. Pass it to Red Man, he knows how to roll a blunt. Red Man said, no need to re-roll. He hit it, relit it, and passed me to De La Soul. De La Soul took a hit and kept hitting. Now they're bugging because they passed me to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton said, I smoke, but I won't inhale. I only hit it twice, he got slapped by Greg Nice. Now I fell on the floor, Greg Nice picked me up. I'm being smoked, then I can't wake up. I'm a blunt getting smoked, then I can't wake up. I'm a blunt getting smoked, then I can't wake up. I'm a blunt getting smoked, then I can't wake up. I'm a blunt getting smoked, then I can't wake up. Get me out of this, somebody wake me up.
Listen to the teacher, children. Do marijuana, and you too will have a nightmare of being a blunt that is chased around by other rappers and even a president. Stay away now. It's this song's such a goofy song, and it's so weird for KRS-One to do a song like this. This is a Weird Al song. This is so goofy, but it's just like it's on like probably my favorite KRS-One album, Return of the Boom Bap. It's like I think, and don't I think it's like one of the albums he did, like one of his big returns after his original producer from Boogie Down Productions or DJ got shot, and so this album is with DJ Premier. And my God, the whole album's a monster. And this is the album that has Sound of the Police on it. Like KRS-One's always been like a kind of a politically minded, for his entire career. He talks about like not just the stories of the street, but tries to address what causes them, the systematic issues that cause it. And then he sings this song about getting rolled up in a blunt and being passed to like House of Pain and shit. Teddy Ted is rolling him up. So it's just such a goofy song. And like I said, it's the closest thing I could find to trying to highlight the perils and risks of using marijuana.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was a little disappointed that it's KRS-One, the rapper, and not the Kings of Wrestling's tag finisher. To be honest, right there. But yeah, all I could do with this one is just, shrug my shoulders, because it's got to be the goofiest way to shout out a bunch of rappers in a song ever. Because it references, House of Pain, Cypress Hill, Redman, Kid Capri, De La Soul, even Bill Clinton takes a puff.
But he doesn't inhale.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But yeah,
Greg Nice slaps him for some reason.
Yeah. This is some new boot goofing right here. Also, I just thought it was funny. You mentioned albums and all that. This song is early on in his solo debut album. Like, you might think a song like this, okay, this might be a hidden track or a bonus track. This is song number 4.
Right.
Like, we're getting real silly Billy early on here, Cole. It's amazing.
Yeah. And again, KRS-One is not like it's like even Flava Flav rapped about more serious shit when he got a chance. It's just such a goofball song, but I don't know, I adore it. I'm a Weird Al fan. What can I say? It's so absurd. It's like I almost view in my head a music video of this where he's like dressed as like a blunt, and like running around with like big oversized like Everlast like reaching for him or whatever. It makes itself in another universe it would have existed, but it's just such a goofball song, and like I said, to me it's like, I don't know. It's nice to see KRS-One super serious, the dad of hip hop sometimes. Kind of let his hair down a little bit and have a little lighter side of it. It's nice to see when a guy kind of, takes a little bit of a break. Not everything has to be so serious all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like a nightmare scene in, I don't know, like How High or Half Baked, one of those stoner movies or something like that.
Absolutely.
But all right, my second to last pick here, going to stay in the 90s with this one, with the band Primus, off their album Tales from the Punch Bowl, and this song is called Over the Electric Grapevine.
The hidden sounds went from San Francisco to Beale jungles and the other, with electric in the air and peroxide in the hair. They look like golden brothers.
First of all, an obligatory Primus sucks. Just got to get that out of the way.
Of course.
Another acid song, and it's based on a true story of Les Claypool and his friend Adam driving to L.A. while they were, in his words, fried on acid. And it has all these references to things that happened to them during the trip, like hearing Introduce Yourself by Faith No More come on the radio, and buying all this candy, and Adam calling into a radio station, and Les hears his voice coming through the radio, and all the laughing because of, they're off their gourd, so, and I love the way that it sounds kind of like an acid trip itself, not in terms of like weird sound effects, but just the general like tension and uneasiness of not being on solid mental ground, from Les's bass playing that just rattles your skull, and the drumming is very tempestual and heavy, and even that recurring guitar line, that's a bit creepy too. And if anyone knows how to make creepy and unnerving music that can still be accessible, and you still want to like bang your head and rock out to it, it's Primus, Cola.
Absolutely. This album is another one of those like that, was in my marrow. This is the album that had known as Big Brown Beaver, who doesn't remember that music video. But no, if that Monster Magnet track was about tripping acid in your bedroom, this is about tripping acid like while you're driving. So it's much more intentional. Like it's like, like when you're just like laying out on your bed or whatever, you don't have to think about shit. So you can just kind of let the chemicals overtake your brain. Whereas this one feels like, all right, we got to play it cool, man. We got to play it cool. It feels like a Hunter S. Thompson. Like, honestly, I see like, the Ralph Steadman, illustration kind of thing when I hear this song.
I think the interview I read where Les tells the story, he references Hunter S. Thompson and name drops him. So that lines up there
tracks.
for sure.
That tracks. It's very much like you could, this would fit right in with any story about Hunter S. Thompson. It's kind of like it's like, I don't know, it's much more intentional, a little bit more paranoid. Intentional in its direction. But yeah, it rocks because Primus rocks, and Les Claypool knows his way around to bass strings.
For sure. I mean, Primus is just one of those bands. I think unmistakable is the right word for them. I mean, simply because of Les and his bass playing. Like, that sound that he makes with his bass is so distinct to the point where the bass is undeniably the lead instrument of the band.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
his singing voice is also really unique, too. I mean, even he says he can't sing that well. But, I can never, ever mistake Les's voice for anyone else. It has that unique just twang to it, too. So, yeah, I'm not like a super duper mega fan of Primus, but I like him a lot. And I did see them live about 10 years ago. It was a double bill with them and Mastodon here in Boston. So that was quite the experience for sure.
Yeah. Boy, I bet the prog rock that must have been going on in that tour. Because those guys were big. I mean, like Les Claypool, let's be honest, he's probably going to go down as like up there with like Geezer Butler and Bootsy Collins is like one of the greatest bass players to ever pick it up. I mean, it's you're absolutely right. It's the guitar and the drums are there to serve the bass, but it's what I like about Les Claypool, other than a lot of other like kind of virtuosos at their instruments, is Les Claypool's interested in making songs. He's interested in writing songs. A lot of guys when they're clearly like uber talented at their instrument, they kind of want to show off, just kind of make the song about showing off, whereas like Claypool is more, I mean, they show off for sure. I mean, Tommy the Cat, forget about it, but he's much more interested in composing and performing songs, which is what I always appreciate about Primus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they rock. But all right, Kolo, what's your last pick of the episode?
All right, so my last pick, I'm just going to do radio DJ thing again. It is this is a shout out to two people that I know for a fact are listening, my twin brother and his wife, who I love like a sister. This is Tom Petty, and You Don't Know How It Feels.
Let me run with you tonight. I'll take you on a moonlight ride. There's someone I used to see, but she don't give a damn for me. But let me get to the point. Let's roll another joint and turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud, and you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be me.
So, I mean, obviously the Let's Roll Another Joint, that's one of the reasons why it connects to the song, but I love this song because it's sort of what kind of awoken me to Tom Petty. That's why I shouted out my brother and his wife, is because like I didn't dislike Tom Petty. I just didn't know what the big deal was, like it's, I knew Last Dance with Mary Jane, Running Down a Dream, and, a couple of the other like hits, Free Fallin', which I did not like as a kid, but then like they kind of like forced me, like force fed me Tom Petty until I got it. And this was one of those songs that really like resonated with me. Like, oh, I get it now. Like I get Tom Petty and I understand him and I actually love him. And it sounds crazy, but I honestly think he's like kind of underrated too, man. I think he's one of the all-time great American songwriters. Tom Petty is just the fucking best, And I love this song because it reminds me of just like, being at home on a weekend, like, and just like relaxing, man, like not having a fucking thing to do in the world, but just exist. And I adore this song, and I just wanted to finish out with it because I know we went through a lot of, darkness and some heaviness and some weirdness and all that stuff, but sometimes it is just about just laying down and chilling and choosing your own life, And so I love this song, and thank you to my brother and his wife for nailing me down on Tom Petty, because I would have sounded like a real fucking idiot when he died. And I was like, I don't understand what the big deal is, so.
First of all, I love how Tom Petty has 3 solo albums, and on all 3 of them, there is at least one member of the Heartbreakers with him. Like on this one, you got Mike Campbell, you got Ben Montench, Howie Epstein, Steve Ferroni. You can't get rid of them, you know. And yeah, this is the least druggy song you picked.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I love it. I love Tom Petty. He's great. I love the guy, but it does essentially boil down to that one line about roll another joint, which got censored on the radio. They either took out the word roll or they replaced it with hit. Let's hit another joint, like another bar.
Like that's any better. That's any better.
Yeah, or they played the word joint backwards. So there was so much fussing over this one line. But look, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
People were still concerned about the evils of marijuana cola, I guess. So
there's decades of propaganda about decades of reefer madness. You know that we're still kind of dealing with. I mean, those prohibitionists haven't gone away. They're very much like they're. You know, they'll do anything to tug their hair out, and it's going to be a back and forth until we find something that works regulation wise. But yeah, I agree that this is like probably the weakest connection to the actual theme. But I like that it's so honest about like just existing. I'm for anything that normalizes the use of marijuana. I think that, and I love that Tom Petty. I mean, like he was just especially in this period of the night. I mean, like that I did not grow up when Tom Petty was like a heyday guy, you know, like I was, you know, but you bet your ass I watched the Last Dance with Mary Jane music video when I was a kid, you know, and so I knew who Tom Petty was. But this song is just so like, it's kind of does. I love the breakdown, the dun, dun, dun. I love this song so much. I kind of want to hear a stoner metal cover of it. You know, I don't know who can do it. I'll think on that and get back to you.
Well, I'm impressed you didn't go with the B-side for this song, which is Girl on LSD.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
That is drug references up the wazoo. Weed, cocaine, crystal meth, ecstasy, glue, all the stars are here.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Josh Homme.
Yeah. All right, my last pick, I brought up the metal god earlier, Rob Halford, and I've brought him back with his full band in tow, Judas Priest, off of their second album, 1976's Sad Wings of Destiny, and the song is Victim of Changes. So that one is from the early days of Priest, years before they got really big. But I would put this song up against any of their big hits. It's a fantastic song. Prog metal in its makeup. All the different sections, the different tones, and the riffs on this damn thing. So good. And like Monkey, it's about someone who is concerned about another person's bad habits. In this case, his woman, who's an alcoholic, and trying to drink her way through the pain of life. You're trying to find your way through life. You're trying to get some new direction. Take another look around. You're not going anywhere. You've realized you're getting old, and no one seems to care. Takes another drink or two. Things look better when she's through. She cheats on him. He throws her out. And at the end, he's lamenting. You know, once she was wonderful. Once she was fine. Once she was beautiful. Once she was mine. And Rob Halford is just slinking his way through the sorrow. It's quite heart-wrenching. And you have to remind yourself this is the same band that would go on to do Turbo Lover and Hot Rockin' and Painkiller. It's such a big jump, but quality-wise, I mean, like I said, this is up there with the best they ever did, Cola.
I love this fucking song. I mean, it like the Sabbath riff, you know, like that sounds right out of Iommi's fucking playbook, that riff. But the part that you talked about, that's, you know me, I love my slowed down metal. And when they kind of take it, it kind of gets like almost like a Western feel that does that same riff, but kind of does it like like a real kind of a slow, moody stuff. Yeah, man, it's so good. And you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this is probably going to lose me my metal card. I'll let the fellows in the channel decide my fate. But I'm not overly familiar with Judas Priest. I know Screaming for Vengeance. You know, I know that album. And I know like a lot of the radio hits. I like Judas Priest. I got nothing against them, but I never really took like the deepest dive, especially in their early stuff. And I think I would probably like their earlier stuff more because it's just much more in my alley of what I like in heavy music. And this song is like perfect for it. I love this song so much because it kicks ass. It rocks. You can kind of hear where Faith No More. Anyway, the Mountain, the guys who did Mountain, Jane's Addiction. The song Mountain, you kind of hear where they kind of totally rip that part off when he does like that scream at the end and then they busts into the riff. You know, I mean, I know they didn't invent that, but I'm wondering if they were listening to this album when they were writing that song, Jane's Addiction. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but no, this song kicks fucking ass, and I'm so happy to hear it.
Mm-hmm. I need to mention as well what I think is the highlight of the song, which is the very end with Rob Halford delivering maybe the best rock scream ever. And I clipped it out just to play it right here on its own. That's how you end a goddamn song.
If you're not holding up invisible oranges to that last note, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you, pal. Like he kind of runs the whole gamut of like metal vocals and like from his early like screaming when he kind of guttural, and then the Rob Halford fucking like woof. No one hits that level like him, man. Many have tried, but there's nobody like him, man. Metal god indeed.
Yeah, guttural is the word that I use as well. Just the guttural pain, and the no, I couldn't even dream of pulling that off. And the fact that Priest still play this song live to this day is insane to me. But Rob Halford is the metal god for a reason, so praise be. All right, well, there we go. Those were our picks. That was the episode. Cola, we have made it through this drug and alcohol binge. We have battled our personal demons and come through the other side. But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun as always. Great to have you on here, talking about music, rattling off Coen Brothers quotes. So just a blast as usual, Cola. So thank you for being here, man.
Oh, that means a lot, Andrew. Again, it's an honor and a pleasure to come on here. It really is. I can't thank you enough for having me around. It was a real fun talk. Sorry it took so long.
It's okay. Any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
No, I'm on come to the Discord music channel. Come tell me all the shit I got wrong, because I probably did. Just go to Voices of Wrestling and read those articles and come into the Discord. It's a lot of conversation, most of the time stimulating conversation with very smart and level-headed good people. So it's been great. So just come visit us there. That's my plug.
Simple, to the point. I love it. Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, voicesofwrestling.com, all the previews, reviews, articles, things like that. Bluesky at Music of the Mat and at Just Andrew on Bluesky. If you want to leave a comment or share your picks, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord, as Cola said. Also where I post the Spotify playlist for each episode. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice, and leave a nice rating and review. All right, the playout song. Look, if we're going to do an episode about drugs, it really wouldn't be right if we didn't go out with a fellow who knows all about drugs, specifically marijuana, kush, grass, reddit.com/r/trees. A fellow by the name of Afro Man, who has an all-time classic song about smoking dat herb, a song called Because I Got High. Thanks again, Cola.
Thank you.
La da 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 da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da da. La da da da. I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the broom, but then I got high. My room is still messed up, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I was gonna go to class before I got high. Come on, y'all. Check it out. I could have cheated and I could have passed, but I got high. La da. I'm taking it next semester, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. I was gonna go to work, but then I got high.
Music of the Mad is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.